Hi, folks. Welcome back inside Manhattan Basketball. Chris, I'm with the head coach of Manhattan Men's Basketball, Steve Masiello. Coach, we're closing in just 12 days before the season tips off. Where is the team right now in terms of their preparation?
I can't stand them. I don't like us at all. We're not very good. But I think that's something to be expected this time of year. We have a lot of work to do. But I do think there is a ton of opportunity for this team. But if we were to play a game right now, I don't think it'd be very pretty.
We had the basketball reception last week.
Who's we?
Manhattan College. We had the basketball reception here. You and John Olenowski were part of it. A few fans and alums were in attendance. I was there. I came up and saw you afterwards. I know you were talking to a bunch of the fans and Jasper Nation. You were talking a lot about Ashton Pankey and Shane Richards, and in terms of their maturity, their maturation, their leadership roles on this team. How have those two roles changed?
Well, Shane is a different human. Shane was a guy last year where the glass was always half empty. He always worried about what could go wrong, what's going to go wrong, and he's just a different person right now. He's got a totally different outlook, different perspective. He views things differently. For him, it's how can he impact his teammates? What can he do to make the team better? What can he do to make my job easier? And it's just a real joy to coach him right now because he's coming from a place of where he's never settling. He knows he's put the time in, so he's expecting success. That's the key. See, in the past, I don't think he expected success. He's expecting success, which I'm really proud of, which he's going to have. I think, mark my words, he'll be an all-league player this year. And you know, for him not to be noted that way as a guy who's one of the best shooters in the country, if not the best shooter in the country, he takes that very personal, as he should. But what he cares about is the team. How's he affecting the young guys? Is he putting Emmy in good situations? Is he putting Rashawn in good situations? So he really, really gets it. I think his strength has improved. I think his body's improved. He's doing more things. He's probably our most improved player. So I'm really happy with his progress, but more so than anything, the way he's viewing things, because perspective is everything, you know, and he's got a great perspective right now. Ashton, you know, we've had him and I have a great relationship, even though I'm never happy with him. And the reason I'm never happy with him is because he has so much ability. He's so talented. I will never allow him to settle. I will never allow him to be average. I'll never allow him to be mediocre. Ashton's one of the most misunderstood young men there are. He's a great kid. He's extremely unselfish. He cares about his teammates. What Ashton has never had to do before is make people around him and put them on their back, put them on his back and carry them. He's never had to do that, whether it's been at St. Anthony's, Malloy, Maryland. This is the first time in his life. Last year, if someone didn't do the job, Ramel Brown, Mike Alvarado, George, put them on their back, said, let's go, we got this. This year, that's got to be Ashton's job. Someone's having an off night, someone's struggling. AP, you got to be Superman. Put them on your back for the night, carry them for a night, 2 nights, a road trip, a week, whatever it might be. You got to be willing to do that. Hence, George Beeman goes down, Mike Alvarado carries us. You know, George went down 2 years ago, Ramel carried us, stepped up. That's got to be AP's role. I don't want anyone to go down. But when you have that off night, and I don't worry about AP per se. I don't worry about Ashton Pankey's individual performance. He's fine. I think we all saw the type of player AP was the last 10 games of the year, and I think that's where you're going to see more of, hopefully, on a consistent basis. What I worry about Ashton Pankey is how are you affecting Zane Waterman? Are you making Zane Waterman a better player? Are you making Calvin Crawford a better player? Are you making sure Rich Williams is doing the right things? That's where AP is growing. And he's done it. I'd say in the last 2 weeks I've noticed a big change versus the first 4 weeks. So I'm happy with it. I'm not going to tell him I'm happy with it. Don't anyone out there tell him I'm happy. But I'm more happy than I was.
How can you use the experience of Ashton coming from a program like Maryland into Manhattan and use it with your relationship with a guy like Jermaine Lawrence coming from Cincinnati to Manhattan?
I think two situations really different. Both programs I have the utmost respect for University of Maryland and the University of Cincinnati, and obviously, you know, Coach Turgeon, Coach Crone, and the jobs they do. Two totally different situations. I don't know if there's, you know, I don't know what to learn necessarily for us at Manhattan. Obviously, Cincinnati went to the NCAA, you know, and I've been there. Coach Crone's done a great job there, and Coach Turgeon has turned Maryland around. They're going to have a great year. But, you know, I think it's kind of one of those things when you move on from programs like that, you know, and AP had to sit out Jermaine's playing right away. I just think the one constant theme I've seen, whether it be Luis Flores, whether it be Peter Mulligan, anytime you see a transfer, there's going to be an adjustment period. I don't care how talented you are, how good you are. AP's was a little on the longer side because I think injuries were involved in that. Lewis's was on the shorter side. Peter Mulligan's was kind of, it took him a couple games. When you transfer, I don't care if you're going up a level, down a level, and I think the guy who could really help in that area is Heimall Evans. Heimall, went through that, and he's very close with Jermaine and working with him on that. What Jermaine's got to understand is it's not a home run. You don't come in and your first at bat in the majors try to hit a home run. Just get on base, get contact. And if Jermaine can maintain that mentality, I think he'll be much happier. Because what happens is you come in, you say, well, I got to do this, I got to achieve this, I got to get these numbers, and then you don't get it. And no matter what you do, you kind of look at it as I'm not doing well. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. So we go a step at a time with it. We try to just talk to our guys, especially our transfers, about that.
Talk to me, because I was looking at the roster the other day, and of the 13 players on the roster...
You were just driving around looking at the roster?
Just going over the names and everything like that, getting ready for...
Were you studying?
Yes.
Okay, so you weren't just looking at the roster, you were working on your craft.
Working on... So I was preparing for next week, and working... 9 of the 13
What you say? I know I wouldn't just say I was... by the way, I was just watching Florida State. I was preparing for the game.
Preparing for the season.
Here we go.
9 of the 13 guys, New York area. I know you've talked a lot about recruiting here, but talk about the importance of recruiting here in your own backyard.
Yeah, I think it's, you got to protect home. I have issues when schools want to come into New York and recruit. Other coaches don't care. It's personal to me. If I could, I'd put a toll in every high school and start charging. It's like you're not just coming in New York and thinking I'm going to let you just recruit. I'll never say that. This is our home. Certain schools are different, and I'm not saying our way is right, but my mentality is if there's a player in New York that can play, we're going to do everything we can to keep him home. And as crazy as this sounds, if we don't get him, I want him staying in New York at another school. I don't want him leaving and going to out of state, because then what that does is sends the impression, well, New York colleges are down and we can go in there and steal a New York player. I don't want that. And I think it's important us as coaches, I won't say names, I'm not allowed to. We just lost a big recruit the other day, and he went to a great school in the New York area, which I wanted him, but I'm very happy with the school he chose, and I think he's going to go to a great institution, go play for a great coach, and have a great career. And if I don't get him, I'd rather that. And even though I might play against him, which I don't want, you got to keep your New York guys home, because I think that really sets up where you start to create tradition with the high school kids. Because then what happens is it's all about relationships, and you go back and I remember whether it was Earl Clark and Derek Carriter, whether it was Ramel Brown and Rich Williams. It's like, oh, I see Ramel having success at that school. That's my guy. Manhattan's relevant. They're good again. I want to play where Ramel played, because I know Ramel, and you see it all the time. You'll see a kid from a high school go to a college, and then a year later another kid from that high school will go, and people say, oh, they got a pipeline there. No, it's really just. It's success following success with a relationship. They've seen someone do well who they know. They think they can follow in their footsteps, and they say, okay, let's see if that works for me. What you can't allow happen is start having schools from the Midwest, the West Coast, the South come up here and say, hey, look at us, look at this. If I was them, I would be doing the same thing. And it's kind of hypocritical for me to say this, because when I was at Louisville, I made a pretty good living in the New York area.
Yes, you did.
And I was telling all those kids, you need to get away from home. But, I think it's important. Anytime you have a recruiting backyard like we do, Chicago, Florida, Texas, you got to keep your talent home. It's something we've taken great pride in. We'll recruit anywhere. We'll go to North Carolina. We'll go to Kentucky. We'll go to California, if you're the right fit for us. But we got to take care of home.
Less than 2 weeks before the regular season starts, but a chance for you and the fans to see this team in action in the exhibition against CW Post coming up this weekend, Saturday night. What are you looking for? I will be here.
Good.
What are you looking for? Actually, you'll be happy about this. I'm not going to be the only Heimall. There's going to be somebody you like better from the family. My father's going to be in attendance.
Dad's coming,
so he'll be
great man.
He'll be at the.
Then your brother.
Brandon will be here eventually. He'll be with us in Buffalo.
You're at the bottom of it.
At the very bottom, yes.
Dad is coming. I'll definitely pay my respects to your father. Great man. Served our country proud.
As we look forward to Saturday, what are you looking for from your team in that competition?
So many things. It's practice has been. I tend to be very hard on the team, and I know that, but I'm actually, I don't know this team, and I thought I would know this team better. I don't know this team because our identity has been so defensive-minded over the past couple of years, and I'm still trying to find that alpha, that Ramel. And I know we're not gonna have a Ramel, but who's gonna make that up? So I'm really looking to see a couple things. One, our physicality and our toughness. where are we from a standpoint of how do we compete? Do we look like Tarzan and play like Tarzan, or do we look like Tarzan and play like Jane? Mm-hmm. So I want to see that. Our conditioning, which has always been, I don't like our conditioning right now, and my staff knows that I'm down on it. I don't think we're in the best shape in the country, which is what our goal was for this year, to be the best conditioned athletes in the country this year in the men's basketball side. So I don't think we're there. And then I'm looking for chemistry, really guys starting to know each other and get a feel for one another, what groups, what lineups can play together, what guys are still struggling to play together. So those are the three primary things. Then we'll start getting into the execution of things and timing and screening and that, our reads and that type of stuff. But you got to start with those three things. And I think from that, then you can build on that. You're not going to have everything perfect early on. We know that. It's kind of who can win ugly is how it goes early on. And then you hope by December you're starting to, find yourself. And then I think the most important time for us has always been during Christmas break, where we've gotten better. I think it's one of the reasons we've had success late in the season, January, February, where we've been able to get some momentum going. So we understand what Christmas break means to us. It's not vacation. It's not holidays. It's a time to get better. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this team. I think we're going to, I don't want to say the word struggle because I don't believe in struggling, but I think we're not going to know ourselves early, but I think we'll find ourselves quickly.
Manhattan has a chance to debut their team in front of the home fans on Saturday night. CW Post here at Dratty Gymnasium, open to the public.
8:30.
8:30.
Yeah, different starts. And then we have Manhattan Madness.
Correct.
You're not going to talk about that. You don't think we should tell anyone to come out?
We should tell everybody. I mean, I want the students, I want Jasper Nation here, I want the sixth borough here packing this place out. We got to make it good.
Great.
I mean, do we have anything
good. I don't want anything good.
You've had some surprises in the past.
So what do you think I got this year?
I don't know, because I had no idea about last year.
Let's just say
your first 2 years.
There's something up there. There's something up there that I think the sixth borough Jasper Nation will be very, very happy with. There will be a surprise or two or three Thursday night in Dratty. That's all I can say.
If you're not excited for the season yet, you need to be, because it's here and it's coming quick. Head coach of Manhattan men's basketball. You can follow Steve Masiello on Twitter at Steve_Masiello. Coach, it's always nice to talk for the time.
Appreciate it.
And we'll see you next time inside Manhattan basketball.